Just think of it as the rough draft of the podcast world. This is the Newbie Writers Podcast with your hosts, Damien Both and Catherine Bramkamp.
Hey, it's episode 213. I had to check that for a minute then. Normally pretty good with it. So, this week we were going to have a guest on, but we can't seem to get in contact with them. So we're going to do one of two things today. We're going to absolutely destroy that person for not coming on, because that's the professional thing to do.
Yes.
And then we're just going to make shit up as we go along. Catherine, how are you?
I am good, and I'm ready to make shit up, so I'm in a good space. I'm better than you because I'm not in pain.
Yeah, well, I didn't mean to be. Don't you love it when you sleep at a weird angle and then, I don't know, flip yourself over in bed, do whatever you do, and you pull your neck and back. I got up this morning going, oh, I can't move. Well, that's all right.
It's like, poor guy.
Nah, used to it. Just, what did I say? Just crash and burn. Just
crash and burn.
Yeah. Just
crash
bang on
and
through.
Burn. So instead of our guest, because maybe we'll have our guest back, so we won't get too worked up around it. I have, we were talking before we started the show, and I've been helping edit the Redwood Writers Anthology collection.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in it. I don't edit my own work, fortunately. And I have just found it fascinating to work with really, really newbie writers. Like, this is the first time they've been in an anthology, against working with professional writers, against our experience. We were going to talk about this too, with working with our editor, with Mephilia. How do you pronounce our press?
Meliferia Press.
Meliferia, thank you. Meliferia Press. That's bad if I can't even pronounce my own publisher. The edit. So how the two of us dealt, or we thought about what that experience is, because I've been on both sides of it in the last couple of weeks.
It sounds like you're on the bad side of bad internet too.
Sorry.
So, yeah, we were having a chat about sort of bad poetry. And I said, well, why don't we just Google bad poetry? And there's actually websites dedicated to this. So if this is your poem that we're going to read out, you're an idiot. I'm sorry. I don't know what to say. But this comes from the Coffee Shop Times. Now, you've chosen one off this website.
Yeah.
What's it called?
I went and looked it up. I love the titles. It kind of goes along with the when we did our bad first lines, the contest for Dark and Stormy Night. How bad poem. This isn't necessarily bad poetry because the authors didn't know any better, but it's.
Whoops. I think I'm losing you now. Your internet is very bad.
So based on that, we both were drawn to the.
Your internet is.
It's super bad.
Dreadful.
Do you want to call me back?
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay.
All right. Bloop. Love Skype. Love you. We shall try and try again.
Try again.
Yeah. We'll see how that goes for 2 minutes.
Okay, well, let's see. If it really sucks, then we might want to dump it, right?
Yeah.
Because I don't want it to sound really bad.
No, that's right. Never mind.
So what I thought was interesting was we were both drawn to the title of this one poem, The Stain.
The Stain. Like, it's not really enticing, is it?
Well, no, but it just sounds like, what on earth? Because of course, where do I go for? I immediately think, oh, Macbeth. Oh, out damn spot. Oh, the stain on your soul. Oh, I write poetry.
Now, I haven't really read this.
No, that is not what this poem's about.
No. But
do you want to read it?
Yes. The stain. Frustrated, I touched that spot, so dry and wet. Hey, I'll read this and then we'll go through this at the end.
Yes.
Frustrated, I touched that spot, so dry and wet. I rub it until I'm satisfied, but I hunger for more. still remains the obsession. It won't be complete until erased. I rub vigorously until it's gone. Oh, perfect. All gone. Ding. I get out the vacuum hoover and suck that shit till nothing is left. Clean as a whistle, I run my fingers through the moist bristles. The grape juice stain is gone.
I don't even want to say what the other metaphor for that could be.
No. But here's my problem with this. Frustrated I touched that spot. So dry and wet. Now, I don't know, you have a rocket scientist, physicist in your house, but if something's dry, it's not wet.
That would be the definition.
Mm.
And I think we can even just to talk about that just specifically. We were talking about how poets sometimes are trying to just quote be poetic unquote, and this is an example where you're trying to create a contrast, or you're trying to put everything all together in one spot, which my physicist tells me is not possible. So you end up with weird stuff like it's so dry and wet. Well, no.
It's damp.
Yeah, so that would make it damp. There is another word.
But I just don't know why you would need to write this. Here's an overarching question, then. It's like anything, but why? Like, what's the point?
Right. Which is a good question to ask. Are you trying to? I wrote a whole essay on vacuuming that brought the house down. I did it as a stand-up comic routine.
But
people loved it because I talked about when you vacuum and you're vacuuming, and there's that one piece of thread or string that you can't get up with the vacuum, so you pick it up and you feed it into the vacuum because it's like you're on a roll.
That's what we do.
That would be the common. So that's the commonality. That's bringing people together, saying, "Oh my gosh, we've all vacuumed." That would be the point. But here, we're not, as you pointed out, we're not getting the point.
Like, I don't know, and I think if there's an inspiration, I guess your muse can be a bit strange, but like if the boy vomits on the carpet and I'm scrubbing it up, I'm not thinking, I'm gonna go and write a poem about this.
Right.
I'm thinking I better not catch whatever he's got.
Which could be the end to that kind of poem.
I don't know.
Cleaning it up and hopefully not getting ill. Now, if you're doing this on purpose, then yes, you have written something that has no redeeming qualities or meaning or anything. Now, where I went with this was, oh my gosh, this is sex, and we're cleaning up after a particularly
messy,
vigorous session. So that there's all sorts of sexual words in there that including stain, that could then be you could write it and not be sure what kind of stain you're cleaning up. That might be a little more interesting.
Well, do you want to do another one? McPherson's Wombat, but I've not seen. I'm going to send you this link because it's quicker. But I have not seen so many apostrophes in its title. This is what our title of the show should be, to be honest.
Oh, yes, I see.
Do you want to read this one out?
No, I don't have the accent to read this one out.
Right. Oh, you're pink and gristly. Your eyes, you're bright. Your hair is bristly. Oh, ye a wombat, a bonny, bonny wombat, a sweet and glistening wombat in the dew. Holy crap.
And it's for Robert Burns without the O and the U.
So I don't know. Here's another thing. These are bad. And we'll go to coffeeshoptimes.com/badpoet. Why do people submit? Are they jaded? Are they a bit blinded by their own work? Do they think it is actually good?
I don't know. It doesn't say in the website what their goals are, does it?
No. It's just a list.
Yeah. It's just a list of really bad stuff. Now, I'll give you my poem that a friend of mine wrote back in the 6th grade, and I memorized it. And it's fabulous. He's a 5th grade teacher now, so this is like totally perfect. And he wrote, "There once was a duck who fell in the muck. A fairy with a magic wand freed him from the pond. She turned him into a toad, and he hopped onto the road. Along came a truck. Tough luck, duck." Kevin Sowers. Perfect poem.
It is. I think I can think of other rhyming words.
Yeah. Yes. There is another rhyming word, but not when you're in the 5th grade, apparently.
This is true. But yeah, you're editing these things for this anthology, and like you were saying to me before the show, that you give that constructive feedback to someone, and you say, "Look, I think this needs a bit of a rework. Can we have a look at the start, or maybe not be so blatantly obvious that you're writing poetry, for starters?" And then you get backlash on it.
Yeah.
Which makes me wonder then, when someone writes something down, is there that feeling of, well, this is perfect out the gate? And how do you overcome that then? Because we then can apply it to, what we've just been through with edits backwards and forwards.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't get offended by any of them. So someone puts a liner note saying, "Get rid of this," or "I don't like this," or "This needs to change." And you think, okay, well, that's someone else's opinion. And then you just think about it. Well, I don't know. I think about it subjectively. And you make that choice. And you go, well, hang on. We're not going to change the spelling of certain words because that's how I write them because I'm Australian. That's my vernacular.
And that was actually my only big thing. It's like, no. Got to keep that OU stuff. I like it. Yeah.
But then at the end of the day, if they came back and countered that again and said, this is going to be in the market predominantly of Americans,
US,
we would prefer it if it was all consistent, I'd say, oh, whatever. It's the word is still the same. But yeah, I just don't know. Maybe I haven't had that criticism enough of someone saying, "This is rubbish, do it again." I don't know.
Yeah. Well, here's most editors, most agents, everybody the editors, publishers, and agents that we've interviewed on our show, none of them would say to an author, "This is rubbish." They're sensitive people, and they're authors, oftentimes authors and poets themselves, and so no, they're not going to just trash somebody. That's never our intent. So that aside, I think that, or at least here's what I assume: when you're younger and or just starting writing, you have to have a lot of confidence in what you're doing because it's hard to do, and you have to, hey, I'm gonna express my innermost thoughts, and here's the trick. Sometimes you get the idea that your innermost thoughts are not up for editing because they're your innermost thoughts, right? So it's kind of like, don't sully my opinion with outside facts. So here you have this innermost thoughts, and it's hard to explain to somebody that your innermost make them more not reasonable. What do I want to say? We want to help you express them better so someone else can understand them. And I think that can be the disconnect. You write your own thing.
But then, I don't know then, is there still that lack of perfectionism?
You write your own thing, but then if it's not translated, but if it's not, if the other person, that's why you need editors, that's why I love beta readers. If the other person doesn't get it, then you didn't do your job, and you need to rethink it.
Yeah, true. I don't know.
Yeah.
I just think if you're going to go backwards and forwards, I don't know. The question I would ask for the few people that you've had to bounce some things back with this anthology is to ask them that question of, how many times have you reread this and gone through this? And that would be the litmus test. To see where they're at. If they go, well, I wrote it yesterday. Or if they go, well, I gave it a quick read through. Or you say to them, have you read this out loud to yourself in the mirror?
Yeah. And I don't, for me, I assume that they
that this was a good piece of work, and they've gone over it, and and it was all most of the typos were taken care of, that kind of thing was all done. And then I get it, and it's like, here's what the anthology editor had to say, and then I look at it and say, well, how about this, or so more developmental. So for the most part, the authors responded well, and they said, oh yeah, we could probably or a thank you, make it go here, and I didn't know how to do it. And then I get others where it's like, no, especially poets. I'm going to have to say the poets were definitely the big offenders here. No, these are my words, and this is my intent. And I'm thinking, yes, but you got something that's both wet and dry, and that's not going to work.
Is that it? That I'm not picking on poets here, because I started off doing that. That's my main thing, and probably still is a bit. But because it's so emotionally driven, does that make it worse? So that they are literally submitting this thing that I was tearing my heart out for this.
Right.
Whereas I guess with authors, it's a longer process, perhaps. Especially with fiction. Yes, I know you're pouring everything out to the page, but you could be living through your character or someone slightly removed. Or non-fiction is you're telling the facts about something. Right. But with poetry, there seems to be this conception of this is my innermost demon, and you've just said it's weak.
Yeah. Yes. And I just called it a cliche. Sorry about that.
So yeah, and we've had poets on this show all the time, and I ask them, their thoughts on poetry, and a lot of them say that it doesn't have to be so emotionally driven, and I agree with that. But there still is that misconception that it needs to be.
Yeah, and it can be, there's all sorts of poetry, and I really am drawn to haiku because I like the immediacy of it, and here's this moment that you're trying to capture, and I think that's a lot of what poetry is. And I think too that because poetry is more difficult to edit, and you need to have, in order to edit it well, you need to have a very strong background in the art form. It's not as common. So I think writers are accustomed to the idea of wrote a story and say, well, this sentence is a little bit too passive, and this sentence is, too choppy. Let's do this, this, and this. You can understand that. But with poetry, it is subjective, as you pointed out, and it's harder to get across to a poet. It's like, you have a really good idea, but damn, it is all cliche. It's all, pop songs, which again, sometimes they make me crazy listening to some of their metaphors. It's like, oh, really? Really? You got to be a rose between two thorns again? Oh. So I think that there's a distrust of the editor in a way, because like, well, how can you edit this? This is, well, actually you can edit this because I've got a background in this, and I can tell you this is a cliche, this is good, this needs to be changed. And I think that's hard. I think that's hard for poets to understand.
Should send you a couple of mine, and you can then just pick them to pieces.
We could do a return in July. It's like, now Damien tries to take it himself.
There's a poem in that. You tried to take it yourself, but you couldn't.
Let's see. We could dish it out, but we cannot take it. And I've had people edit my poems for anthologies where they said, hey, have you thought about this, or making this a little bit stronger? Totally helpful, so that I could make the product a better product.
Right. Well, I think we should do that. I've got a month. We should come up with a couple of poems.
Yeah.
And yours are going to be fine because you're traveling and you have all that inspiration of looking at your mother and being annoyed and doing all that sort of things.
Yeah, it's going to be very inspirational. I do a lot of writing about my mother when I'm on the road.
Does that ever happen? Do you ever dump that stuff down and she looks across at you and says, what are you doing? You're writing feverishly, dear. And you're like, nothing, mother.
Nothing. The answer is nothing. And the answer is very much, I sit at another table. I can't sit across from her and write. It doesn't work. She's just like a black hole and sucks all my energy out. So I sit at another table all by myself, and I get it all out so that I can be nice to her. So I get all the frustration out in another way.
hang on, you're in another country and you go to a cafe, coffee shop, whatever.
Mhm.
You sit down and you say to your mother, no, you sit over there.
No, no. In the morning when we're at the hotel, I'll come down. I can come down and sit at one table, and then she'll go off and sit. If she sits at another table, we do. We have separate times. I can't just sit across from her. I don't want to start talking before I have 2 cups of coffee. Doesn't work.
Again, you're coming down from the hotel room. You sit over there, mother. I'm going to sit over there near the window, and heaven help you if you come near me.
It's from years of training.
Wow. And then let's think about this then further on. So then, you get your breakfast or someone comes over and says, hey, would you like a coffee? You're like, yes. And then they go over to your mother and what? You then have that exchange of, oh, yeah, well, can you go and see my mother next? She's over at that table.
Yes, I do that. I make sure she has her coffee.
Right. And then they look at you and go, well, how come she's not on this table? To which you
Actually,
say,
nobody asks that question. They say, if I'm sitting at one table, it says, oh yeah, my mom's over there. They just look at the whole thing. I'm like, okay, yeah, I got that. And they move on.
Oh, God, it looks like something from Faulty Towers.
Right. Some mornings are like that. Yes.
Don't talk about the war. Yeah. I don't know. That's just the things you learn of your co-host after 4 years.
Yes.
I would love to be on another table observing this.
Yeah,
Very
it's
strange.
We come together. She is very good about giving space. When we go up to Ashland together, she comes down, meets up with one of her friends, and they chat. They just start talking in the morning, and I come down because the only place to get the coffee is right there in the little bar, and I sit down with my coffee, and I just remember the very first time I did this, my mom looked over and she said to her friend, now don't bother Catherine because she doesn't talk to anybody till she has her coffee. So I have her trained.
Wow.
And I'm just like, that is correct.
I don't know if I could even go on holiday with my mother.
Well, I see. I do have an advantage. Mom is very interested in. Obviously, she loves to travel. That's why we're doing it. But she's got a great head for history. She's good at architecture. I can ask her like, well, what is that? And then she's got the background for it. So very engaged. And so we have very good engaging conversations if we can stay focused on the trip. If we default back to the usual, what we usually talk to our parents about, where they lament about their parents or they bitch about your siblings, I try to avoid those conversations because they're just the same old track over and over again.
Well, I think my mother lives a double life because when she goes away, she doesn't really talk about it as much, but when she comes back, she'll send me photos of things. And this is a woman that probably should be in a wheelchair, supposed to have 2 hip replacements by now. And
Yikes.
and then I get a photo of her doing street luge in New Zealand.
I think you're right. That does sound like a double life.
And it's one of those things that you think, I message back and I go, what the hell? She goes, oh, that was fun. Or she's on some motorbike, some motorbike tour. I'm going, yeah, most of my responses are, what the hell? You end up in hospital. But, so if she enjoys it, that's fine.
Okay. At least she went down happy instead of, it's much more interesting to break your hip on a luge run than tripping in the garage. Just saying.
Yeah, I know, but then you just see that other side of things where she'll come around here and then she's hobbling around from getting up off the couch or something. And I think, hang on, you were barreling down some street circuit only a week ago.
Right.
I don't know. Anyway. So yes, editing poems. I think that's a good idea. I think we should do that. We should write a poem or 2.
Yes.
And we can then pick it to
an
pieces.
Exchange. I'll send you some of mine. You can send me yours.
Sure. Well,
sure.
Should we do a new one? Like rather than pulling from some. Oh, I wrote this last month.
Yeah, I can do new ones.
Do
I'll make a note and we will do that. That'll be one of our shows.
Do we have to any theme, or should we just do should we pick a theme, or can we do it on anything?
You want to pick a theme and so that we can see how well we did? Sure. You want to pick a theme?
Sure. Let's do stains. Okay. No, we're not going to do stains.
No.
I don't know.
Go there.
Well, let's do it. Let's do the theme on holidays or going away. What do you reckon?
So like holidays / vacation?
Well, it's the same thing, is it not?
Okay.
Because we're looking at going.
Yes, it is. I'm just defining it because our holidays sometimes would include the space between Thanksgiving and Christmas, and those aren't necessarily considered vacations. There's a nuance with that.
Yep, fair enough.
But your holidays are vacations.
Yes. Public holidays don't count.
Right.
Yes, because we're looking at going away. We might go to Sydney in January, and that's fun times organising that. See, I don't know how you go about organising those sorts of things, but Sharon's doing a lot of the organising at the moment, and the thing she'd said to me was, I don't know why I'm having to organise this. And then she stopped and said, oh, that's right, you don't like holidays. So, yes, we can write about that.
So there you go.
We can write about vacations, going away, and why they are a waste of time and money.
There you go. And there I sense a theme. I sense a theme with you. So we'll do that in the first week of August. We'll have our own poetry slam. How does that sound?
Sounds good. We'll see how many we can get done.
All right, poetry slam, August 6th.
Right. I'll make a note to do one to see if I can get a stack of cliches in there. What do you reckon?
All right. That can be, you can do a cliche ridden. You can do a bad one or a good one.
The plane was like a missile barreling through. Actually,
we sat with our knees up under our chins for 10 hours.
To find we weren't even on the plane yet. Oh,
exactly. And that was just TSA. Yes, exactly.
Anyway, all right. Anything else you want to cover quickly?
No, I think that was the talk is when you are working with, if you are fortunate enough to get into an anthology, your work gets into an anthology, and they say, hey, we are going to assign you to an editor, and that editor is going to give you some advice. They're going to help you out. That's what they're there for, because no one's getting paid. And the more annoying you are, the less likely we are to help you and make you look smart. So just say, all right, what do you have to say? And maybe you agree and maybe you disagree. But if you agree with a couple things, then we'll give you, we'll say, all right, you did some main things that make sense now. We'll let you, continue to spell color, C-O-L-O-U-R, and we won't worry about it. So I think that's the strategy when you're a newer writer. And when you are more professional and you've gone around the block a couple of times, you're just fine. I think that's really interesting. And somebody comes back, like with our book, and our editor returned it and said, well, what about this? What about, because I got a lot of feedback because I had written more of the book. So proportionally, I got more back. But it was really helpful to have someone else look at it and say, I didn't get this. This seemed awkward. So I really could improve the work. And that's all we're trying to do, is just improve it. But it took me a long time to get there.
Yeah. Well, here's a poem to sign this portion off. You stood in the classroom lean and lanky and told us your genius poem. Roses are red, violets are blue. I like tractors. Thank you. That's
like your roses are red, violets are blue, get in the van.
Get in the van. But at least that's got some sort of, you say that roses are red thing, it's supposed to be a romantic poem. So get in the van.
There's another one that was roses are red, wine is red, poems are hard.
Yes. The other one I would do is roses are red, violets are blue. Does this smell like chloroform? Anyway. moving right along. You sent me something else, which is completely irrelevant to anything really. But 20 people who visited Australia were asked what was the most surprising thing you saw. So I ask you this question. You've been to Australia. What was the most surprising thing you saw when you were here?
What was the most surprising thing? I don't know if I was necessarily surprised. I was fascinated and interested. I mean, I loved the Barrier Reef. I thought it was interesting that to dive off or even snorkel off the Barrier Reef, you want to wear a big blue suit so you don't get stung by various and sundry items floating around in the water. Plus, you don't get sunburned, which was a very cool thing. Plus, you don't pollute the waters with your sunscreen and things like that. So yeah, that was cool. I loved seeing the Southern Cross. I think the thing that surprised me I was with a group of locals in Adelaide. I was hanging out in your neighborhood practically. And I said, hey, show me the Southern Cross. And I had two locals who couldn't agree on where it was. And that was funny. But that also could have been the result of far too many kamikazes that night. So I'll give them that.
You just point up. You just get up there.
The two of them were having, they were old dear friends, and the two of them were having a huge argument in the middle of the street at 12:30 New Year's Eve night. And it's like, no, it's that. No, it's over there. And I'm just cracking up. It was so cute.
Wow. People have been sucker punched for less.
Wow, I know. So yes, I sent you this lovely article on what.
Well, this one, number 5, someone put the distance between cities. You can drive for 7 hours straight and pass through 3 measly cities with 5,000 inhabitants. It's true.
Yeah, that's also true of Wyoming. I mean, I think all of our centers of our countries are pretty open and perhaps done.
Where was it? Yeah, here we go. This guy wrote, it's very long. It said, how casual Australians act around local wildlife was the most surprising thing for me as a German. Lots of little jellyfish in the water close to Sydney Harbour. Guy walks into the water, picks one up with both hands and walks up to us like, guys, I haven't seen this before. Anyone know what kind that is? Cliff jumping with Aussies. Sea water below us foam up a bit. And the guy says, it looks like sharks' hearts, probably just small ones. They won't do anything. And then a big-ass spider inside a construction site I was working in. Big enough to drop a magical sword if you kill it. I like that description. I asked my boss about it. Nah, leave her alone. It's the house spider. She's not dangerous. When I asked whether not dangerous meant those kinds of spiders aren't venomous, he answered, nah, we'd still have to drive her to the emergency room, but like not as fast as we'd have to do with other spiders. He said, stuff like this really makes me wonder how many of the people that I've met are still alive today. Yes. Anyway, some of them are a bit silly. Like someone saying, I can't believe how big the sky seemed. The land was so flat. I don't know. The sky shouldn't have changed. People are generally much more positive towards life than where I come from. Huge amounts of immigrants from Asia and Africa, and people seem happy with it, and I love it. Okay, not anymore.
Would you like to mitigate that?
I think it's great. You know, we are a massive country that lives just on like the 10% around the edge.
Right.
People want to come here and fill it up. Be my guest.
Just as long as they fill up the center, right?
Yeah. But I know there's the whole Claim Australia Back movement, but you've got it nicely under control. No. I think we've become the sort of the racist core of us as Australians is really shining through more and more lately. And it's it's disgusting, to be honest. So, yes. Anyway.
I like this one. Drive-through alcohol shop.
Yeah, what's wrong with that? Don't you have them?
I think that's marvelous.
Don't-
But you're not supposed to drink and drive. That's for a U.S. citizen is like, really? Just drive through? This is awesome.
You know what we also call them as short? Here we go. Talk about slang. Drive tracks. We call them bottle-os. Like a bottle shop. Bottle-o.
Uh-huh.
I'm going to go down to the bottle-o. And you get a
Oh,
bottle.
how fun.
Get a bottle
And you
of
just
Coke.
drive through and they hand you your 6-pack and your 3 bottles of wine and
Yeah. And you
sit in a
look,
can and go.
so one of my contracts was to put a advertising screen in these drive-thrus. And so for months.
Oh, really?
Yeah. For months, it'd be working there, and it's amazing to see at 3 or 4 o'clock when all the tradesmen knock off. They all drive in. The guy comes up. What can I get you, mate? He's like, I'll get 1 can. Well, we call them a stubby. It's a can, whatever, or in small bottle. I'll grab a stubby. I'll grab a can,
Uh-huh.
which they also call a tinny. I'll grab a tinny of whatever beer, and it's just one. It's like $3, and they hand it to them, and you see them crack it open and drive off. Really bad.
Oh, that's bad.
But on the whole, it does work out well because you don't have to park. You literally drive in, you say, because you could be on the way to a night out. You go, oh,
Uh-huh.
could I have a bottle of such and such? Sure. You pay the window, drive off, go to where you need to be.
I just love it. I just love it. That and okay, here's another one. A sign on the beach saying "Beware of snakes."
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, see, that doesn't surprise me either.
Well, because you live there and apparently No.
You got sand dunes and all the, flora and fauna that's all up there. Of course it's going to have snakes. Some of them, you can see some of them in the water. They go down there to cool off. I don't know. Your crosswalks. The clanger is terrifying the first few times.
Yeah.
What's wrong with that?
Yep.
I've lost you. Your internet's dropped out again. And free barbecue grills everywhere in city parks, national parks, rest stops, both in cities in the middle of nowhere. There's probably more barbecue grills than public toilets in Australia. That's true, but don't ever use them.
Yeah.
But people wee
We
on
have
them.
barbecue. We have grills all over the place too. I mean, if you live in a place where you can be outdoors all the time, yeah.
Yes, but people wee on them here.
do they really?
Yeah.
That's because there's not enough rest stops.
Yeah, probably. No thanks. But yeah, so I think I've got you back now. The clang of our crosswalks. Was that bizarre for you when you went to cross the street? And like, holy crap, what
I
is that
do
thing?
not remember it, so it must not have imprinted.
I don't know. They're changing.
So I don't remember being terrified going across the street. That was like one of the last things I was terrified about. I was terrified about box jellyfish, and I wasn't going into the water. But the crosswalks I was in pretty good shape with.
My old man, he's a bit bizarre like me. When we'd go through them, he used to say to me, "Oh, it'd be amazing if someone could like replicate the sound of one of these, and if you're standing next to a blind person." I mean, really?
Oh God!
Really, you'd want to do that? You'd want to be standing in the street and make that sound and have them step out onto oncoming traffic? And he just shrugged.
Oh,
Anyway,
your dad was having a very bad day when he said that.
clearly, well, whatever the blind person did to you, not my problem. There are some people a bit. I'm an astronomer here. The moon is backwards. No, I'm pretty sure it's where it should be.
Probably just where it is. It's like I said. I love seeing the Southern Cross. That was like I was.
Lost you again.
Did you lose me? I'm right here.
No, it's just
Wait.
It's really crackly.
Okay. Well, do you want to do? We can move on and do prompt.
Yes, we can do a prompt. I'll grab the prompt. See if your internet sorts itself out in the meantime. So the prompt: what is your family's private language? Can you write up a translation of said language? Who made up the words first? has their meaning changed? What do you mean private language?
Well, I mean that's exactly what I mean. There's some families that have shorthand. A lot of it is it's the shorthand, the slang terms. Does your family have a shorthand way of talking about things that when a new member of the family comes in, you married into the family, and you're suddenly like, holy crap, I don't know what anybody's talking about. That's what I was getting at. Do you have twins have private languages? They have their own way of communicating.
Well, I know that for a fact that because Sharon is a twin, and so her and her brother, their private languages, they just yell at each other.
Well, that's not terribly original.
No. Yeah, I don't know. I've not really come across this, to be honest. Maybe I'm too direct. There's no private language at all.
Wants to be direct, but yeah, there's Andrew and his family will have they'll have references, slang, it's just a shorthand. It's a shorthand. Definitely married couples. So I don't know if you sit with Sharon at night and she says, well, you remember that guy that did the thing, went to that, exactly what she says, you know what she's referring to.
No, normally I look at her. Normally, if a conversation starts with her saying that, I usually say things like, okay, can you lift both your arms up above your head? Can you smile? Because I think you're having a stroke right now.
See, I've been married long enough for the two. My husband and I will we'll be watching a movie, and I will recognize an actress or an actor and turn to him, and he says, that's the same person that was in the blah, blah, blah movie that you just saw 2 days ago. And he just says, oh, thank you. That's exactly what I was thinking.
Oh, no, well, that's why. We're the next generation where if we're watching a movie, we're both there on IMDb at the same time while trying to watch the movie. Because Sharon would be like, I've seen that person before. I'm like, well, it's on IMDb. He was in this. Oh, okay, thanks. That's how
it's
weird.
more interesting that way.
I don't know. It's funny though, she's notorious for not being able to remember jokes. So she could read a joke on a computer and come in and say, hey, why did the chicken cross the road? And I'll say, I don't know why. And then she'll go, oh, hang on. And she'll run back into the other room and come back and say the punchline.
My mother is famous for telling jokes backwards and then missing the punchline entirely, or a critical piece of the story that will lead you to the punchline, which actually is funnier than the joke.
It's all about timing.
Yes, it is.
All right, well, let's do a word of the week. These come from The Meaning of Life and The Deeper Meaning of Life by Douglas Adams and John Lloyd. lift.hivemind.net. Check it out. It's quite funny. Most of the words are locations in the UK, and they've put their own meanings to them. So, Kudadi. Astounded at what you've just managed to get away with. That's a good one. Ooh, what a Kudadi.
Just pulled a Kudadi.
Cotterstock. Sounds like one of those bad free image websites. You've got to pay for.
Yes, it does. Maybe that's a secondary.
Yeah. Oh, I went to Cotterstock and got a free photo.
Right, with a big imprint across it. This
yes.
is Cotterstock.
A piece of wood used to stir paint and thereafter stored uselessly in the shed. Yes, it's true. I don't know. We've all done it. But then...
there were collections of those, right?
Yeah, but you just let them dry and then just use it again.
Yeah. I think that's always the intent, and then you forget that you have one that you're going to use again, and you buy one again or just get one free next time you buy paint, so they accumulate.
Yeah, yes. They don't really give them out free here, come to think of it. Should be part of it. They should have a bit that just slots into the side of the can or the tin.
I think ours do, because they're, they can be promotional. I think way back in the day, they'd have the store name printed on them, or something like that, so that you could look at. If you did save it, you'd say, "Oh, where did I get this paint? Oh, there he goes. There it is. And look, the paint color is on the Cotterstock."
Yeah. Yes. Well, we only have really one or two big hardware stores here anyway. So, where did I get this from? Oh, them. All right.
Right. Them. The store, right?
The store. All right, let's do a tortured sentence. Next time, don't put the wrong faces on the right slab. Tortured sentences. All right, where did this come from?
This came from class. And I get another class in the summertime, so I'll have a fresh group of exceptionally tortured sentences. So this one is Gould, who is the author of the article that the student read. Gould also implies that his argument may also be applicable to other disadvantaged groups, quote unquote, where conclusions may be reached on the premise of discrimination against such groups of individuals by the dominant and prejudiced man.
What?
Exactly.
I got held up on the way you pronounced applicable too. Bloody Americans. I don't know. Yeah.
So that's our torture sentence, and it was very tortured.
How could you fix that? Delete.
I told him to divide it up. So Gould doesn't imply because that he just said it. So Gould argues that his thesis may be applicable to other disadvantaged groups, and conclusions may be reached based on the premise of discrimination. I see he lost it based on on the premise of discriminations against such groups of individual by the dominant and prejudiced man. It's just too convoluted. You have to unpack it to get to where they were trying to come up with the idea that Gould's argument could be applied to many other groups. Maybe that's the short answer.
Right. Well, you could just say there's too many words, try again.
Yeah, I do sometimes say that. It's like, this is a little convoluted. You may want to tease this one out, unpack it a little bit.
Yeah. Don't worry about the word count. Just send it in. 100 words, it's fine. Get to the point.
Right. That's what I tell them. It's like, please don't try to pack everything in to get the word count. That's not what I want.
Have you ever had someone submit something that is so short that you've turned around and said, is this just the synopsis?
Yes.
Right.
Yes, I have. I was like, so this is a really interesting thesis statement. Where else were you going to go with that?
Do they scratch their heads and go, what do you mean statement? I spent weeks on this.
No one has ever said I spent weeks on it. They don't have weeks to spend. But yeah, I've had a couple where they've taken my things tight and concise to great lengths, and I end up with a 3-sentence paper. It's like, no, you have to fill this out with a few more examples.
A picture. Big
picture.
Yeah.
That's actually pretty damn funny. I like that.
Yeah. Well, we can't do pictures on this show.
No.
All right.
Not that kind of show.
No.
No video.
No video. So you're off to Barcelona.
Yes, I am.
Cha cha cha.
Cha cha cha.
So who am I speaking with next week?
Next week, Scott Mullins.
Ah, yes, Scott Mullins. He's in Melbourne, I think. Is it Melbourne? Yeah. Or
Yes.
Mel.
So the two of you are going to be on the same, just only half an hour difference, which will be fun for you guys.
Yes, that's right. So that'll be fun. He's going to be talking about his new website, which is very similar to booktastic.com.
Well, there you go. You're going to find out if it's super the same or just a little bit the same, or you'll be able to see if it's a good thing or a bad thing, right?
Yes, that's right. So we'll get into the nitty-gritty of that. So
Good.
Apologies on the audio quality today. Catherine's internet is dreadful.
I don't know why. So there you go. If I could have tweaked it, I would have.
Yeah, but that's fine. All right. So have a good and safe trip, and
Thank you.
I will see, or everyone else, I'll see them next week. We'll see you then.
Your book starts here on the Newbie Writers Podcast.